So we open not on Freeburg, but actually in the strange world that is the Mirror Sea and the interior of the Tower of the Wachtturm, at least as it exists in that Mirror Sea. Um, the Revenge is still parked just outside of it, and through an act of both magic and endurance, Len has managed to get the portal open to escape Valhalla and to now everybody preparing to return to Freeburg itself. Um, Under the hopes that like the one setting that isn't associated with any color is the way back, as Len believes by intuition, perhaps some lingering memory of the time Matushka granted him knowledge as to its purpose. Um, the uh as the portal is set on the proper setting, there's like that delay again where it starts to hum and it could still potentially be moved, but like every movement seems to like reset the energy that's gathering. Um, and we cut briefly to the top of the walk term in Freiburg, where Rosa and Wilma are having a heart to heart. It's been uh about 2 weeks since the crew has disappeared. Um, and there hasn't really been any like follow-up, any sense of like what's happening. Does that make sense? So Rosa has been left completely in the dark. Um, until there's a flash of light from the tower itself. And Wilma kind of like rises to her feet, like, what the hell was that? And you can see like out across the city, it looks like other people have noticed and are turning this direction. And then a Vestan pirate ship with a reputation of its own, a notorious Vestan pirate ship, falls out of the sky. Um, with, a dozen passengers aboard. I don't, you can just raise your hand, you're screaming, you're about the height of the Tower of the Wachtturm, like from above the water.
Land ho!
Runa is she's not screaming. She is actively like trying to see if there's any way that she can catch Lucky.
Um,
Because if we know anything about Lucky, he's up.
Yeah, he was absolutely up, and you see him like for once he trips and falls off of the mast, but his ankle tangles in the rope, and you see him just sort of like dangling from it and swinging free. Um, and Orm kind of like muttering a curse about the lucky son of a bitch of a lot, even as he like peers over the side and sees like I think we're gonna hit the river.
Runa's kind of instead of screaming, she's kind of just grabbing on to whoever's next to her.
Um, yeah, it's kind of, emergency measures like the ship sort of reacts like in ways that are instinctive, like the oars yank in, um, and the sails deploy to act as close to a parachute as possible, although like she can hear the mast straining, and like against the weight of the ship itself. And then there's a splashdown into the river, and like it's an absolutely jostling thing, but there is something about the transition that seems to have like somewhat delayed the inertia that you would have normally experienced. Like normally just falling this far, you guys would have like splatted onto the floor of like the ship itself. But it doesn't seem to have done that. Instead, it's just sort of like the heaviest lurch, and then you're sort of just afloat in the middle of the river. Um,
I
except for Onward, whose
uh-oh.
gaze is distant. Um, we're Rosa and Wilma have just seen, the Revenge go falling by. Everybody else has had, an absolutely like sickening like fall. And in the middle of that descent, Honorine, she briefly saw the world, and then she is suddenly not in the world. She is in the Black Forest. And she's in the Black Forest in a different way than she's used to. Like she remembered all of its like nooks and corners and like the frightening parts of it, but it's like she's seeing it through completely different eyes now. There's no shred of color. There's moonlight. There's the leaves themselves. And walking through the middle of it, at the head of an army, is Eric Seeger. Um, and she can see like deployed on every side around him are men that are armed with strange tanks of metal. Um, and what look and like long cones that the tips of seem to be flickering with fire, right? And the Seeker's walking at the head of them, but they're forming a circle of protection around like the rest of the group. Does that make sense? Um, and as the vision kind of like switches places and she can see the direction that they're headed, she realizes that what she's looking at is the home that she's grown up in, the Sice to Sice home, the one that once belonged to Seeger.
I'm sorry. Am I supposed to do something here?
Um, the and she can kind of she can feel the presence, like she's not just an observer, she is a presence here. And she realizes that she's a presence next to the Scatman Man himself. She can see him like walking along the lines of like the army, like a hungry animal at the edge of a cage, and eyeing all of the flaming weapons extremely warily.
What are those?
He says, "They showed me at the edge of the forest what they could do. One of them can take down a dozen trees." Says, "But he did not burn my forest. He simply showed me, and then he came in."
He doesn't want to make you an enemy. Much.
He he says, "No, I don't believe he does." Um, and he, as the army moves closer, um, the staff of like the house and like the sites to sites that are there, they see the approaching army and they kind of, like appropriately like, what the fuck? Because like armies and large caravans don't move down that road. They don't get through. Like occasionally like a small group of like four or five that you can usually like ride the length of the forest in a single day, they'll get through. But like three carriages is usually about the limit for something like that. Um, and even then, you don't care more than two carriages worth of stuff because you know that if one of the carriages breaks down, it's getting left. And yet they have come through the forest, and you could see like it's dark overhead. This is the time that nobody normally dares the Black Forest.
Yeah, are they
And
marching through the
Seeger's
forest at
there.
night?
Yes, they didn't start out marching through the forest at night, but it is night now, and they're still here.
Can I snuff the flames?
She can, but there are dozens and dozens of them. Like, and she doesn't know like under what circumstances they could be restarted. Does that make sense? She has the sense that like whatever is at the tip of them is extremely flammable. So she would be trying to fight an army's worth of like sparks and whatnot to rekindle them down at once. But she does understand that like that living flame is necessary for the flamethrower as a whole. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um, and she sees like one of the size to size women uh comes down from inside of the house. Um, and Seeger dismounts from his horse. There is absolutely an air of threat about everything, though. And she looks like older enough to that Honoree could recognize her as like somebody that is older than Jemay herself. Does that make sense? Related, but definitely probably involved more in like keeping the house and the small town going and stuff like that than in and occasionally involved in Honoree's upbringing, but it was usually as like sort of like a disciplinarian. Like when somebody needed a spanking, somebody needed a scolding, like Jemay could do it, but she was sometimes a little bit too sharp with her wit. And so if you just wanted to make somebody like, that's not okay, it was.
Jimmy's
And
like, I accidentally scarred her. Oops.
yeah, it's like, can you just like, make it so that she stops, teasing the boys or whatever? Um, um, but Aunt Amelie is somebody that Honorine has always known to be both like sound-minded but tough. And even she is like, secret towers over her. There's an army armed with strange like weapons. Um, and she she studies the man and studies the I'm blanking on the word.
The army.
No, it's like specifically like his banner and his the the symbols that nobles used to identify themselves with on flags and stuff like that. There's
Their
a specific
colors.
Heraldry, his heraldry. Yeah, she studies his heraldry and she bows her head and she says, Duchess Jemay is not available, Iron Prince. Um, and Eric like looks around the lands with approval. Um, he says, the Size to Size family has done a good job taking care of this place. He says, I regret to inform you that I'm here to reclaim what is mine.
Honoring like growls next to him, next to wherever, next to
Next to the
Shadow
Scotland
Man.
Man. And she
Like she makes a noise in her throat at that. Like she's like, you motherfucker.
She says, we have no soldiers here. No men ready and capable to resist you. Seeker says, looks like something of an oversight on the border of another nation. He says, I have never harmed anyone who has surrendered honorably. And she nods. She says, but that is not my surrender to make. If you will allow me to contact, and then right by the statue that Honoree knows to be the singing statue, the one that's like built into a fountain, she sees a portal open up and she sees, 2, 3 like Jemay or Size to Size women just like stumble out of it. They look bloody. They look, they're dressed in court finery, but they look panicked. And it does not look like either Emily or Seeger was expecting this. And Seeger, he kind of like moves in a flash. Like you see, he clasps a hand onto Emily's shoulder, and his other hand is at his sword, but he hasn't yet drawn it. And his soldiers follow suit. They kind of start grabbing people right as they're coming out of the portal while they're still disoriented. And it's 3, 4, 5, a dozen, until she realizes that fully like 24 women, probably the entire complement of the Size to Size family that were in Charus, have just exited through a portal. And last coming through is Jemay herself with Ange next to her. And Ange kind of, she stumbles forward and she pulls off a blindfold right as her hands are seized on either side by like the Seegers. And Jemay, nobody lays hands on Jemay. Um, and Jemay, like, she looks, you've always known your aunt to be intelligent, but the fact that it takes her all of like 2 or 3 eye blinks to look and sort of realize what's going on without anyone having to explain it to her. Um, and she's covered in blood. She looks like she walked out of a battlefield herself, right? As do most of the nobles that have come with her. Um, and she like straightens herself, and in the most mild voice that Honorine has ever heard, she says, "Iron Prince Eric, a delight to have you. Has anybody offered you refreshments as yet?" And he uh he cannot help but smile. He says, "I'm afraid it is not a social call." Um, and she says, "If you are here to negotiate, I would ask you to unhand my kinsman." She says, "Keep your men nearby with blades or whatever those weapons are." She says, "But let us discuss." And Seeger nods, and he releases Amelie. She doesn't like move far. All around, it's tension in every direction. Um, and Janae, she looks over everything, and she uh, looks at Eric. Um, she says, "I presume that you are here to retrieve your lands, and that you are not afraid of war with Montaigne." He says, "An astute observation." She says, "Then I have a proposal for you. Allow me to evacuate my family, allow me to evacuate whatever villages would go with us, and you may take these lands and your claim on them, and you will sort it out with the Emperor." Um, and Eric looks a little puzzled. Like he looks like he expected considerably more resistance, but Honorine understands that like Shimei's leaving probably indicates that her title is being pulled, and she doesn't really have any claim to the lands anyway. So she's bartering something that Eric believes she has against the lives of her kin. Um, and this guy man kind of like looks over to Honorine, looks to like what's going on. Like he's waiting for a cue. Like he is willing to take action if she wishes for him to. Um, and Jemay kind of she says, "I have the papers up in my drawing room. Amelie, if you would go retrieve them." She says, "I will sign over to the title of these lands to you." She says, "Return them to you." Um, she says, "I ask for nothing but the lives of my kin and a piece of art." And Seeger kind of smiles. He says, "That's more generous than I expected." He says, "And I, for one," he says, "will appreciate what it saves me to take this place." Looking like back to his soldiers as he says that. And she nods and she simply like waits. And she begins to speak to like the ones that she knows are capable of transporting others. And through that, Honorine kind of understands that every single master Porte sorcerer has made arrangements to have something in Freiburg as one of their anchors. So they've been ready for some kind of evacuation or another for some time. Um, and sh like Amelie returns with the papers, Chimay signs it, and like all around, Porte gates begin to open and the nobles begin to go through. Some of the peasantry do go. Others are like, "This is our home. We've lived here when Seeger was in charge before. We've lived here through the Sice to Sice. We're not particularly afraid to like stay here now." Um, and but the vast majority of them actually choose to travel with Chimay. It's only a few like really old secret loyalists that are staying behind. Ones that Honorine knows enough about to recognize like these people kind of cause trouble just out of spite once or twice. And
Kind of would have preferred Seeger kept the land kind of people.
Exactly. And
Bootlickers.
Anjay kind of she remains by Jame's side as well. She's also like completely drenched in blood. She looks a little bit more wide-eyed as far as like what the fuck did we just see, right?
Does any of it look like they are bleeding, or does it all look like
No.
somebody else's blood?
It looks like somebody else's blood or just being in proximity to some kind of calamity.
Honoриne's got her hand in his hand, by the way, in the Shadow Man's hand, and she's like holding it really, really tight.
Yeah, she actually sees where like the wooden armor that like covers him like powered armor, it like breaks open and she can feel his like actual hand beneath it taking hers. Um, and he holds it and she can also see all around gathered in the darkness like there is nothing but eyes that are waiting beyond the fringes of like where the flaming torches can reach. Um, And as the town empties, it's a relatively small one all told, but like they easily move almost 300 or 400 people into Freeburg in the course of minutes. And Shimei turns and signs the document. And she says, I suppose you are the Emperor's problem now, and hands it to him.
And remind me, so we knew that Seeger was marching.
The expectation was that he was moving towards another, like Iron Prince's territory. The fact that he moved against what was previously his own territory is probably a testament to like his own sense of right or wrong.
Yeah, his
like
pride.
Well, and also that it was taken from him by an act of the Imperator. And so his first act is to reverse the Imperator's will.
Can we go to the map of Eisen?
Yeah, we absolutely can.
I can't find... Oh, wait, I found it.
We should be on it now.
We are. And so he's... So he kind of went the wrong way for a minute there.
Well, because so the area that he's in is effectively through this area.
Right.
Does that make sense? He's passed through the mountains into the woods. And these woods, as I said, when I made this mapping inaccurately because I just sort of copied what was in the book, and that doesn't actually reflect what the text of the book say the forest extends through. Because the forest extends into what is montane lands and is the size 2 size lands. And
so, but it looks like he marched sort of to the west when we were expecting him to march straight east.
Yeah, to either the Heinzel lands or to Fischler lands. And it might be like the amount of army that is with him is most certainly not his entire army. So it might be that he's gone to have the others go into Heinzel lands, not expecting much resistance, but wanted to take this personally. But that also represents an opportunity because if his armies are split, that is something.
I'm not smart enough for this. Okay.
Jabei smiles and she says, then, if you do not object, I will take my leave as well. And Eric says, I believe you are entitled to a piece of art. And Jabei smiles and says, I have one in mind. And she runs her hand like across a pin on her dress and it comes away bloodied. And she reaches and she puts her hand on the statue. And you watch as the portal opens around her and Anjay and swallows her and the statue. And the singing that keeps the Scatman at bay within the village disappears with it.
So, Honorine looks at the Shadow Man. I can't call him the Scotten Man. Like, in my head,
Fine.
he's the Shadow Man.
That's fine.
He's Daddy
Scatty.
Shadow.
He has a name.
Tiwasog.
Tiwasog?
Will you mute your mic? Mute your mic.
Me? Sorry.
Yeah, mute your fucking mic.
Okay, sorry. I'm gonna shut up.
Tiwasog.
Yeah. So she looks at Tiwasog. And she's. Oh, you guys heard the cackle.
We did.
So she looks at Tiwasog to kind of take his temperature a little bit. Like, is he looking? So she's trying to get a sense of like, is he like pissed and like kind of no matter what, like these people have invaded his space and he's going to make them pay for it, regardless of whether they have the flame, regardless of, you know, even though it will like cost him? Or is he looking like he's willing to just sort of like let there be a little bit of like a truce, like maybe he'll take it out later, maybe not, like so she's trying to take the temperature.
He's on the edge. He does not mind. Like he has a very real worry that even if this goes into like an open fight, he's going to lose a lot of his forest.
Yes. And that's almost a certainty.
And that's almost a certainty, but there is also the possibility that he could probably wipe out Seeger himself and the army that's with him. But he doesn't know at what cost. And what he does know is that Seeger is treacherous and will probably have something else up his sleeve beyond what's just seen.
Right.
And there's also that he feeds on fear, and he can't exactly allow them to go through and leave without feeling that fear. It weakens his legend, effectively. It weakens the glamour around him. And so there is going to be a cost to be paid, but he is willing to show some mercy in it.
So she's going to kind of look at him. How much does she know about this statue? Like, does she know that it keeps the Shadow Man at bay? Like, does she know that?
So she knows that the song that came from it was the song that he sang that drew her into the forest. And she also now recognizes that the statue is a statue of a young mob, and that the maiden of it is his sister. And that the reason he's granted peace to this place is because his sister's visage was here.
And so they have flamethrowers. Are they all wearing red barrels, as someone may have mentioned?
It's there are many of them that are wearing like canisters. In many cases, the canisters are like loaded onto wagons. And not like strapped to somebody directly. Does that make sense? Instead, they have like hoses that are connected to them. If she lights off one of them, this is going to be a fight to the end, bloodshed kind of thing.
And so she'll kind of look at Tiwasog and ask him, "Do you want me to snuff the flame? I could burn them."
He says, "Don't burn them.
What would you have me do?" Kind of thing.
Snuff it. Bring darkness. Absolute darkness.
And she's going to pour absolutely everything that she has into, you know, killing every single flame that she can possibly reach. Like, she'll try to get, I think it's a line of sight thing, so she'll try to get like higher, like kind of she turns and she climbs the steps of the home that she grew up in, so that she can have a view over this army that should not be there, that has used, essentially science to push its way through a legend. And so she's immediately going to just sort of like draw on absolutely every inch of magic that she has, and just every single flame. Doesn't matter if it's a lantern, doesn't matter if it's a flamethrower, doesn't matter if it's
Lantern mounted on the walls of the
yeah,
village
it doesn't
itself.
matter if it's a candelabra over there in the library that just happens to be lit. Like, every single flame that she can possibly reach is stuffed.
All right. I'm gonna just say, for sake of moving things quickly, I'm just gonna say take 2 dramatic wounds.
Yeah.
As she like does that for just like everything in view. And she sees the Scotten man, like she sees the immediate reaction of troops and like Seeger alike. Seeger's hand, like goes to his blade. But the Scotten man is too fast. He's on him, and those like blades are wrapped around his head and his neck, but not cutting him. And he says, "The mighty Eric Seeger will serve my legend better as a warning." And Eric kind of he starts to swell. He starts to try to fight. His strength is nothing compared to the Scotten man's. And she watches as the Scotten man like lifts one of the bladed hands and narrows it down to a single blade and just plunges it into a single eye. And pulls it free. And he says, "Find your way out of my forest by morning."
Get the fuck out.
And then Honorine is like coming to inside of the boat just as like it lurches down into the water.
And she's probably got like, they probably see her go distant. I don't know if anyone would actually notice. Like, everyone's already like occupado with like the falling and the screaming. So like, I don't know if they would even see, like, as she comes to and like awful burns like climb up her arms. Like, I assume those were the dramatic wounds. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have to be like flame related, because like when snuffing, like I would actually imagine that like it would be a leaving of some sort. Like,
So the specific way that her powers work is never described as like inflicting flame-like scars, but rather that it's almost like it pulls the moisture out of her body. And that if she were to like exhaust herself using it, if she were to die using it, she would do so as like a completely desiccated husk.
yeah,
Because she
so
can't actually burn. Like you can dunk her into a lava and she comes out just fine.
a nice spa experience. Okay, so rather than burns, excuse me, so probably crawling up her arms is like the most ridiculous case of dry skin you've ever fucking seen. Like, just like her nails kind of grow longer in the nail beds as they recede. Her fingers turn skeletal as the skin like clings to them. All the way up to like her shoulders. Like, there's just like this almost aging, I guess. It might look like aging if you don't know quite what it is. And she just sort of like stumbles and puts herself like on her knees and like kind of goes on to hands and knees, and she's like kind of catching her bearings, and doesn't talk right away, but like as soon as she can talk, she'll kind of shout for the council to come closer, especially Hans.
Yeah, and I actually want to say, like, this is where I'm going to drop the curtain after she says, "Ask the council to come closer." Hans is like looking over, kind of in just the moment that like Honorine returns to herself. Like, there was the whole fall and everything like that, but for a moment, for him, it looks like there's a cloak of shadow wrapped around her that seems to like pull away as she comes back to herself. And that is where we will pause so we can do our introductions. And I will open up my document that I have at hand for that I totally didn't close. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seven Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So, without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Honorine.
Hello, I am Blaze of Gloriosa, better known around here as Glory, and I haunt the Discord probably more than I should. And then not only do I stream on my own channel, I'm here producing on alternate Wednesdays for our Oracle Force game, our Masks a New Generation game. I also produce on Thursdays for City of Mists, run by Sarah. Deviant Paradox. I was in our Shadowrun-ish Gibsonian adventure, but we wrapped that up this past Friday in a glorious way. It was a lot of fun. So Fridays are now open and available, and if I know that anything about like our band of people, like it will be filled again quickly with like another incredible adventure in the new year. Tonight I'm here as our resident ex-noblewoman, not so noblewoman anymore, question mark, who's apparently was babysitting her big sister. Then we went on a little jaunt, and she left her big sister with, I'm blanking on the name, Wilma. So Wilma's babysitting, Honorine's mummifying, and they're just all going where they're not supposed to go. So let's hand it over to said big sister, because that's the fun part.
All right. I'm so glad that I had enough time to actually change my links. Because, hey y'all, my name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I am on this channel currently 3.5 nights a week. I think it's staying that same in the new year. I'm not even sure. I am here tonight as Rosa Nix. My decision will piss somebody off. We'll see what that decision is in a little bit. I think we have one last time with our Tuesday game, Carnage Heights. I think we're going to do an epilogue in the new year, right? Yeah.
That's the plan.
I'm here on Wednesdays in our Mask Oracle Force game as Nightwish. There's obviously something wrong with me. And Thursday, I am the DM for the Chaos Incarnate game, City of Mist campaign. Deviant Paradox. I'm the only one who knows where this boat is going. No one else can see it.
Do you though? Do you?
Oh no, I completely know where you're going.
Do you?
I have an entire map.
Where are we going, and why are we in this handbasket?
Yeah.
Where are we going, and why is there a bag on my head?
When I'm not here, you can find me over on Tangor Productions, working with the Scar Adventurer and Rock Paper Fox on stuff and things that'll come out eventually. Let's give it over to Runa, because yes.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I am here today, Sunday. You found me as Runa. I am also here for one more Tuesday as Exit for our epilogue, and I am here Thursdays as Nora. And every other Wednesday as Trek, and that wasn't in order because I forgot about that one. Oopsie. And that's about all from me. I'm gonna pass it on over to Len.
Hi, folks. That's me, your friendly neighborhood Bat Kyle. You can find me here on Sundays playing Len. My baby mama is Hot Costin, the ass of Asura, and sometimes an otter recently. Otherwise, you can find me nowhere else right now, but I have plans. Oh, yes. Such plans do I have. Besides that, you can find me on the Discord, posting unhinged food memes of being a general chaos gremlin, and you can often find me in the stream chats for the games that are going on, also being a chaos gremlin and trying to break everybody I can, Sarah, with my jokes and such. So, yeah, that's about it. Let's go to Rory.
Hey everybody, my name is Rory. I'm here tonight on this wonderful Sunday evening, as almost always, playing everyone's favorite. Who the hell knows what he even is? There's one thing that we know for damn sure, and he's everyone's favorite soldier boy,
Ooh.
Hans Reifenstahl. You can also find me on this wonderful Twitch channel on the Oracle Force Wednesdays. It's a wonderful Masks: A New Generation campaign run by the Scarred Adventurer, featuring a couple of us goobers, myself playing Graviton, science-based bullshit now. After last session's physics lesson,
We learned that both of our characters are both very physics-based.
yeah. It's got very science nerdy last episode. So if you
Hope
haven't
you're
watched
good
it, go
at
check it out.
math.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm really bad at it. I'm so bad at it.
Oh yes, yeah. It's a wonderfully fun game. Check it out if you have the time. It's on brand with a lot of my fellow players. I've got a mess of things kind of happening in the background that I don't really have enough details to talk about yet. But hopefully some cool news in the new year. And yeah. So what's Gav up to these days?
Well, Gav first has to remember to unmute his mic. Hi, I am actually Bison Stonefist, Bison_Stonefist. I get yelled at if I don't say the full name. Kevin gets mad. Anyways, I'm here a lot. I'm here. Well, currently it's only technically 2 nights a week, but we still have the epilogue. Tonight I am playing Gav the Grin, everyone's lovable, the only guy in a game about swashbuckling and sorcery who is neither a swasher of buckles or a user of magic. And I love it. On Thursdays, I play Garrett Sakes, everybody's favorite little emo kid. That's on Deviant Paradox. Why did my brain forget the name for a second? I do run the Carnage Heights game. Yeah, Primo. I'm tomato sauce. Anyways, I do run the Carnage Heights game. That is coming to a close in the new year. We have just our epilogue to do, so we get to find out where our crazy characters are going and what happened to all the stuff that they forgot. All the stuff they forgot to do. I don't have any other games currently. I'm going to be in a game in the new year that Kevin will be running. I'm very excited for that. And I am reading like 3 different systems to make my next game because I'm going to be doing that, but it's going to be a couple months because I still got to learn what I'm doing this time. And that's all I'm up to. I post memes in the Discord constantly. And if you're in a cast chat, I will peek in and I will make a comment. Trust me. That's it. So back to Siosa.
Hello, everybody. I'm Siosa, and you can only find me here on Sundays. I'm not playing in anything at the moment, and I'm trying to keep it that way. You can also not find me on social media. You can find me on the Discord. I'm allergic to everything else, and with the way everything is going with AI and whatnot, I think it's going to be staying that way for a while. So, all right. Um, but some people have some things to do, so we're going to get back into it. Um, and we're actually going to cut to 2 weeks prior, because I want to give a moment for Len and Rosa to and actually have their goodbye on screen before Len was about to go off into a mystery world and what he and Rosa talked about before. So we'll set the scene as just to make it a little bit easier. It's we're post when the discussion has been had as far as like how the portal works, that they've been able to activate it. And Rosa knows that Len has agreed to go through. It's up in the air as to whether she's going to be going, but because of, concerns, she might be remaining behind. And they're up in the upper area above the theater, the one that's warded for privacy. So
Well, you know the plan, and you know I'm never going to be one to tell you what you can or cannot do. I definitely know better than that, but I would
I'm
feel
not
better.
going.
Oh, thank Christ. Sorry, hold on, let me rephrase that. Oh, thank Petrushka. Uh, uh, it's not that I
I
don't think you're capable on the adventures. I know you definitely are. But A, somebody needs to stay behind to speak for the council, and B, um, there may be a little, hours in there.
and I don't know what a porte will do to that.
Yeah, it's kind. Do they actually know? And this isn't Len asking the DM. This is Len just asking in character, just to be clear. It's like, do they actually know what happens with that? That seems like it would be very dangerous.
Um, so as far as like the Montaigne go, they just in general avoid the practice of using Porte when pregnant.
Okay.
It's understood like almost as a free excuse to like arrive late to something.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you weren't here, it would be up to Arthur, and I have
And
no
no,
idea.
that's not going to happen.
He would try to either punch or sleep with every problem we have.
And that does not help us at all.
Nope.
And
So,
besides, I need the time to decide what to do about Mob.
do you know where you're still leaning on that? I'll support you whichever way, but
I don't know.
well, from what you told us, you might be the only user of your specific magics in the city, and apparently whatever dome is keeping terrible things out is being attacked by that kind of magic.
And that's absolutely a reason why I'm thinking of keeping it. But at the same time, I don't want to curse our possible children to. And she does a hand motion, effectively being like,
All of this, yeah.
that.
Yeah. Having our children and our children's children having to worry about good old Gam Gam showing up and deciding to dip her fingers in the well of fate again is not the greatest thing. But we also have no idea what switching your powers over to Mob and the Fae will do to both you and any descendants. And I will admit, I know Mom offered you this power, but the Fae aren't really fans of Mom, of Matrushka, and so I don't know what's going to happen there either.
And I don't fully know what would happen if I even did give it away. Could my children still get it since it would be through my blood?
Yeah, I don't think Mab said anything about that. Just that she would take it from you, right? And give you this other power.
Exactly.
And yeah, and the powers of anybody who's been kind of locked away by
And we've also seen what's happened to Hans.
yeah. Yeah. Um I I can't say for certain that the number of ladies who would be, thirsting for our dashing guard captain would drop if they could see him as we can see him. Um, but it's still, I worry about that guy.
I do as well. I worry for Honorine.
Yeah, she does have a crush on an ancient evil. That's,
Kind of clear.
yeah. Yeah, I keep telling her she doesn't have great taste in men, but
I mean, Anjay's not that bad.
Andre's
Maybe
not a
just
man.
that's not women.
Yeah, great taste in women. I'm gonna give her that, but um, like the other side of the coin,
But no, I'm not going. I'm gonna stay.
well, and that gives me all the motivation I need to make sure I come back.
You
And
better.
I'll try and bring your sister back. But, you know,
At least try.
I'll try. But, she can be very stubborn and she doesn't like me. So, if I offer her hand to save her from falling off a cliff and she slaps it away because, ooh, Len cooties, I can't do anything about that.
Maybe ask Gav for help then.
Yeah. Might have to sub in my Meat Mountain friend for that one. But,
I just have to break in just for a continuity thing. I don't think Honorine has yet disclosed anything about the Scotman where Len could hear.
I could have sworn she did, but no. Okay, well then we'll just have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that we were on just a roll of joking about Honorine, but
We'll fix it in post.
I mean, you're okay to joke about her taste in men in general.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rose has probably made a couple of jokes about her taste in men versus her taste in women.
Yeah. All jokes aside though, we only kind of know where we're going, and other than we know that it's not this world. We're going some very uncharted, very dangerous places. And so if the worst should happen, I at least need you to know that I love you. And
She immediately puts her hand or a finger over his lips. You're not talking this way because you're not leaving me.
of course I'm not. I will turn into a bear and claw my way through the plains if I need to get back to you. And I gotta at least make sure that Gav comes back, because Hannelore, if I'm the only one who returns, Hannelore will have my balls.
I would honestly be more fearful of Honorlore's reaction than my own.
Yep. So just be careful. We both know that the dangers where I'm going are definitely not the only dangers that we face, and we've left behind some pretty rotten people we haven't accounted for. So just be careful. Burn whatever council cachet you need to stay safe until we get back. And if you see Arthur, tell him to behave. He's not going to listen, but at least you can get an "I told you so" later.
I mean, not to me.
Yeah, probably not. But
Just come back to me
I will.
and try if you can to bring the rest.
Well, you know me. Sometimes I have to be a hero. Sometimes I have to be an asshole too, but sometimes I've got to be a hero.
Just don't let being a hero get you killed.
I will do my best. Also, don't forget to feed my cats. Please.
Of course I will.
I won't hear the end of it when I get back if they have to scavenge for themselves.
They will not have to.
And see.
Yep.
And now we will cut to ah.
Hi, sweetie.
Yeah, Wilma like looking over the edge of the towers like it survived. And they're moving on the deck.
Get the guards you can. If they've come with something that big, they must have more people, right?
She says, I'll take the porta gate down. It's going to take you a while to get down the stairs.
Of course.
She covers her eyes and kind of like Wilma very rarely shows fear or discomfort of any kind, you know what I'm saying? But she definitely has before she like steps through it. And you know, Rosa can see her coming out the base of the tower a few moments later. Um and Geralt turns to Runa on the deck of the ship. He says, "This is a very famous ship, and there is a large contingent of Vendel here in town. Might I suggest a smuggler's nook that I happen to know of nearby?"
Please do suggest it.
My shop is that way. um,
And while they're
And
doing
I'm
that,
still
Len-
controlling the ship, even though we just got our shit rocked, right?
yeah, you like, but there was no damage taken on the landing or anything like that. In fact, you were like, if this ship had been aligned and properly coming down on the river, it could very easily have like snapped her in half. But instead, it was set down in a way that it would survive.
Is Lucky still hanging?
It's like, oh, the blood's all up in my head now.
Head rush.
Len's going to be, if Honoring will let him, going to be applying that burn cream because it's hydrating.
Yeah, Orm is looking up at Lucky like, hey, if we leave you there long enough, maybe someone might finally reach your brain.
She needs some moisture. Just put some aloe on the hands.
And you were
Moisturize
quickly
me.
steered towards Geralt's shop. And he, you know, he jumps off onto like the actual like dock itself and then moves to open up what it looks at first to be just like the staircase that sort of runs up to the rest of the shop and like the ground level and stuff like that. It folds in half and like opens and opens and like the Revenge is with the oars in, it will squeeze in barely. Does that make sense? It's gonna like on both sides and kind of have to be like walked in. The Revenge's mast is designed in such a way that the brace for the main mast can be taken down so they can go under bridges and stuff like that, as that's part of river raiding. Um, and the and it barely manages to squeeze. It was designed for a smaller ship, but still one that was designed for like river running and stuff like that. The Revenge is not so much. It's at the larger end of what the Vestin built a raid with.
Thanks, Dad. She doesn't actually say that.
But you know, they get inside, they tie it off. There's definitely like the fact that the Revenge was spotted in Freeburg is going to be talked about. And Gav spots Geralt sort of like run off, and as like the Revenge is coming into port, he's getting like every kid in the local area to like cause commotion, cause any kind of distraction they can. He's like, just don't burn anything down, but whatever else you want to do is fair game, and I'll pay you for it afterwards. Um, and soon enough, it's like, you know, it's pulling people away from the river, so they're not exactly seeing where it went to port and stuff like that. So, It's not guaranteed to be safe here by any stretch, but as an ad hoc safe place to put the revenge, this is about as safe as it gets. Certainly safer than it'd be in Jerem's, which is like open to the public with a highly recognizable ship. So the ship has reputation dice.
Probably has a higher reputation than most of us.
In the
Not as much
negatives.
because it's disappeared and it's been like missing for years. Like all records are that it went to the bottom of the ocean, which it in fact did. So
And I'm pretty sure the reputation's in the negative.
it is in the negative because it's a rating a Viking
Yeah.
ship. So
Negative 32.
yes.
Oh, nice.
Drop a criminal.
So and everybody manages to, get off. The ship is easily secured. No treasures from your raids to another world, other than Ingvild herself. And Hans and you've seen you and Len have both seen whatever toll was taken on Honorine. I imagine Gav is kind of busy with some of the heavy lifting of helping to secure the ship. And Gerald comes back into the shop with an armful of groceries from like the nearest market. Just starts to like sit down and make a meal for everybody.
Wherever they're like, I guess like seated or whatever, Hans was kind of like sit down next to Henri and just like, he spoke to you, didn't he? I saw his presence leaving.
Yes.
Oh. Something good this time? Well,
Seeger split his army. Seeger split his army between west and east, or wherever he's marching.
Wish would be to the east.
Right.
Heinzel.
Or Vish to the
Right.
Or Heinzel. Yes, correct. Thank you. Wish is way to the north.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Heinzel lands.
what is to the west? I mean, I know he was targeting.
Well, we were talking about how he would probably march on Heinzel as a weaker province and then probably sweep up into Fischler. If he's done that, he's also split part of his army off into the Black Forest. He just took back what was given to my aunt. I need to go find my aunt. She's gonna get up.
Wait, yeah. Wait, is she coming here?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, Honorine is like, she gets up. She's like, I gotta go.
Refugees to prepare for? Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Do we need to go?
Maybe. Yeah. My aunt. I have to go find. She's like, no time to explain. She's going.
Yeah, I have to go tell the man. Runs off. I'm gonna
Gerald
go find
says,
my guards.
I will meet with you all this evening at the theater.
That works. Len's actually going to go with Honorine.
I'll bring
still
lunch,
heavily
or I'll bring
wounded.
dinner.
And he's pretty sure his beloved would like him to keep an eye on wounded, frantic sister. So that's what.
When they were sitting and talking, I was going to type it out. While Honorine and Hans were sitting and talking, Runa sat down next to Honorine and just like gently took her hand and took one of her dramatic wounds.
Runa's wound radar went off. She sensed that somebody could like hurt her.
Someone is injured.
A question: with the dramatic wounds that Runa had taken in the flight, does that put her to crippled?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
I'm not crippled till I hit 5, and after taking Honorine's wound, I'm at 4.
Awesome.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Well,
she was built for this.
Built different.
Built for tough.
Take one. But yeah, she's headed back to her apartment first to see
Is that where she left the bag?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Hang on, I have to think
Um,
for a second.
You have a small town in your apartment.
she can tell her family has arrived before she gets there.
Waldo seems very confused.
It's like a house party is around her place.
Oh, shit.
And Waldo is very much like, like he's outside of it with just sort of, and like the moment he spots Honorine, there's like relief because he hasn't seen her in 2 weeks. And he's like, they were just here. I don't know if they're here at your invitation, but
are they still covered in blood?
is yes and no. Like they're like many of them are just sort
I
of
feel
looking
like that's
a little
a
bit like
binary
shell
state,
shocked.
either covered in blood or not.
Some of them have changed. She
Okay.
can see that some of them are wearing her dresses.
Oh. And Honorine's gonna reassure Waldo, like, this is my family. I did not get forewarning to warn you. I'm so sorry. Like, but they are here. They're always welcome. They're fine. You know.
And one of Honorine's cousins is standing nearby, and she's like, "This man does not speak a word of Montaigne. How do you have a servant who doesn't speak a word of Montaigne?"
He's not my servant. He's my landlord.
You what? What's a landlord?
Shh. Stop talking.
And Jemay kind of emerges from within.
She gets the
building.
biggest hug.
Yeah, she's still bloody. She looks like disoriented and exhausted, and she squeezes Honorine hard.
Yeah, Honorine's like squeezing around her, like quite possibly cracking corset bones or whatever. Like there's definite creaking of corset stays going on or whatever. Like, she's just like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're okay.
I'm
She says,
gonna arrange for some food and some places to stay with Gertrude. You have your family reunion, and Len goes off to try and do some things.
Jemay squeezes Honorine's shoulder and she says, "I have brought some new art for your backyard. I strongly suggest you never bring it through a portal."
Are you okay?
She says, "The normal cacophony of noise that accompanies one when traveling through the gates. It was a tornado. They did not like that statue's presence. And Anjay was kind enough to carry it the entire distance. I didn't really think about that part.
And Honorine's going to like very quietly like whisper in her ear, like, I saw what happened with Seeger. I saw it.
That's going to save me relaying a very complicated story. We're here. Anjay helped get us free.
Yes. I asked her. She offered. I mean, we were discussing and she offered and I asked her and she, like, Honorine's like kind of babbling a little bit, like.
She's the one that you've had a bit of a thing for some time, right?
I wouldn't put it like that. Sure. Yes.
She kind of smiles. She says, "A very close friendship." I mean,
yes. She's taught me many. She's a very good linguist.
She says, "And very well educated." She says, and she has admired the speed with which you picked up many new languages.
Yes. She's kind of blushing a little bit, like that.
And she's like, "I don't think I've ever seen you blush about somebody that you are good friends with before."
There haven't been very many good friends, Aunt Janae.
She kind of she smiles though. She clearly like considers it. She says she's a good friend. I should speak to your council and Wilma post haste. My presence here marks some political changes that will surely affect Freeburg. Also, I'm going to try to. Do we have any other homes that you've purchased by chance?
Well, no.
Oh,
but
God, it's going to be a nightmare around here come nightfall.
Well, there are some available places that they can. There are inns and there are vacant homes. Like
Anjay.
Honorine's thinking of the places that previously had been owned by Reinhardt. she's like, we can probably like rent something like that out or something like that.
And Anjay speaks up from kind of, she's still been giving them a bit of a distance, but she speaks up and she says, there are dorm rooms that will be empty for winter at the university.
I can't picture my cousins in dorm rooms, but that's going to be incredible.
She says, I can pull strings to make them available for at least a few days until things are sorted out.
Let's get you changed. I'll call the council. We will get you to the tower, etc.
There's like a multi-pronged squeal from the backyard.
And
And
she's
one of-
definitely giving Anjay a hug too. By the way, just wanted to sneak that in.
Yeah, Anjay hugs her back. She's like, oh yeah, well, a lot to talk about. She kind of looks towards the squeal, and like there are like a dozen size like courtiers just as shrews who are like staring at like
The fish.
the fish.
Yeah.
They're like, there's now like a dozen of them in
You
that
said squeal,
lake.
and I'm like, they found the fish.
And they're all clearly like, they're so disgusting, but like in a fascinated way.
They'll let you pet them. Don't pet them. Never mind.
Yeah, one of them is looking like it's completely like they're daring each other to try to touch one.
Oh my god.
And the statue of Mab is in our backyard as well.
Just sort of like crashed next to the fish. I'm getting the most interesting.
Propped upright, but
I'm getting the most interesting backyard decorations here.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one. So, all right, so we're gonna have like obviously like kind of many scenes to like play out and stuff like that. And I just want to make sure that everybody at least gets some time in at this point. But I do want to kind of cut forward to like the council meeting that night. People have they've gotten a chance to like say hello, assure people that they are alive. I think Gab has gotten out by the skin of his teeth and barely managed to get dressed in time to get back to the council. But Onalor, in his absence, has gone ahead and like purchased a building to start like work on an orphanage. And she's spent the last 2 weeks keeping herself busy by like cleaning it out, reinforcing it, making sure that the structure is sound. Using all the kids to do that. Like they're just they're not unpaid help. They're investing in their education. And she's made sure to give them lessons like every day. It's not just like an empty promise. So and that has kept her from going crazy while worrying about Gav. So
I'm sure that there's a path somewhere in the Hall of Records that she's just worn clean, going back and forth.
It's actually mostly in the way of like Gav really sees like what she's kind of done when like the day is over. There's nothing else to do because there is so much food cooked and stored that it like completely fills her little room back there. Just like absolutely squirreled away, like dried preserves. It's nothing that's going to go bad immediately. Like she's making winter preparations, but she's doing it for a family of like approximately the size of the entire gang. And there is not enough storage space in their little hold for it. Gav is fairly sure the bed is now propped up by jars.
That would explain the creaking.
Says as long as it's not cracking, that's the bad sound.
Yeah. Gav he fills her in. Like this story is so ridiculously on its head weird that he has no problem just giving it the entire thing to her straight.
And
not
he's
trying to hide anything
and her over questioning takes the part of like the recorder. Does that make sense? Like just recording everything that comes out of Gav's mouth about it. In like her ongoing sort of like Chronicle of Freeburg and whatnot, she's just taking it down verbatim as he says it. And you can tell she has kind of like a notebook version and then like a finished version that she does after she's kind of gone through her notes and can make it as orderly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, And she's like, you need to go and see the council tonight, yes?
Da. Many things have happened in the last 2 weeks, I have been told, and we have a lot to catch up on.
She says, would it be all right if I came along as well? She says, I have a few things that I might be able to offer as perspective as well.
If it is all right with the council, but I do not see them having any issue with it.
And yeah, she comes along with Gav. The moment she sees Runa, Hannelore is like, I'm so glad your mother's safe, and hugs her. Like, she's just sort of, she's up on everybody's story from Gav. Does that make sense? And so, like, even though they might not have had like direct interaction, she's there and she's like sweetness, and she's just happy to like see everybody that he's been talking about. And um I think at this point she's just starting to show. If she wasn't carrying Gav twins, she might not be.
Twins of its own, it's going to be.
Gonna call them the Twin Peaks later.
Yeah. And she she kind of like tugs Gav's sleeve at some point. She's like, you have to make portraits of everybody so that when I do the chronicle, they can have pictures.
I've been working on sketches.
And she just nods. It's like they're conferring on like a a treatise. So and she asks, like a lot of questions about like how like the portal had worked and whatnot. Although she's kind of like, I'm not sure that I'm going to commit this to writing. She says, I just want to make sure that I understood it.
Yeah, Honorene's definitely like, that's maybe best not left to great knowledge, wide knowledge kind of thing.
She nods. She says, I just like to understand enough that if people disappear again, I can send people after them.
People, by people you mean us.
She says, oh, if all of you disappear, I will find someone to send after you.
Mm-hmm. I meant the people disappearing would probably be us. Let's be real.
Geralt shows up with, like practically a wagon full of food. I think Runa and Ingvild had both been with him. And Ingvild kind of leans over at one point and she's like, I think I might remember now what it was about him that seduced me. Just watching him cook.
And on that note, and I think I know, but is he my dad?
She nods.
Okay. Good to know.
And Ingvild kind of she says there were others that came close. She says, but no one I ever trusted enough.
Oh. I have really interesting parents.
She smiles and she says was surrounded by men who thought with the brains in their arms or between their legs. Says neither impressed me much. Says, but Geralt, I knew how clocks worked. He knew strange parts of the world. She says he knew how to sail a ship. He taught me more about it than my own navigator could.
I think you'll like the guy I'm seeing.
Oh.
But unfortunately, I will need to introduce you guys sometime after the meeting.
She kind of smiles. She says, yes, the introductions of all of your friends was somewhat interrupted by us falling out of the sky. So we'll have to get to that.
All of that at some point. And you need to meet your niece and her child.
You told me about it, but I forgot amidst everything. It didn't seem real.
It's
And-
real. They live with me.
And she rises and she goes to Geralt, and she grabs him by the lapels of his vest and interrupts him while he's cooking. And she kisses him and she says, "I have family and I need to go meet them." And Geralt is just sort of like a little like stupefied. And he's like, "I'll see you tonight." Um, and Ingvild kind of nods. And runs her hands through her hair for just a moment. You can tell she kind of like she brushes a hand under the eye that's like now gone white with like a little bit of like self-consciousness. Um, but she heads out. The just the sight of Runa's cousin is enough to like immediately like bring her to tears. And the afternoon is spent kind of like with Ingvild sitting and just absorbing everything about like what she knew about her own mother and like, being raised within the Vendel lands against her will, and all of like the trials and hardships and stuff like that, like with no hiding the tears that like run down her cheeks as she listens. She does it all with Brandy on her lap, like every time Brandy starts to squirm, it's like just like a nope, I'm not done hugging you yet. Brandy kind of calms. And
Emotional support, Brandy.
yeah. And
She's good for that.
And Brandy just like interjects with her own stories of, like she'll be telling about like how how they were brought into like Jordan's house and the marriage and stuff like that. And like Brandy will chime in like, and this morning I found a stick,
I'm picturing Ingvild holding Brandy and Brandy holding the Rottweiler puppy. Brandy holding Red.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. And I love that name for the Rottweiler puppy. So, and evening comes kind of like too fast for almost everybody. I think Hans is busy like just like catching up on what's going on with the guard and what's going on with like the army and stuff like that. There's nowhere near enough time, but they have been working on training everybody. The wall is like it's in progress, although they are very clear that if they're going to fight Posen, they're only going to have time to get one of 3 walls up, and it's not even going to be at like a finished level. It's going to be at like a fortification level. And so they have to choose like which direction of the 3 surrounding Freiburg that they want to focus on. That is a question that Hans will have to answer imminently.
Soon. Yeah, it's just like okay, guys, just give me like
in
10 words or less. What's happening recently? Go.
It was like 2 weeks of briefings. What is working is that all of the Wakund has sort of gotten established in their permanent buildings, and like the area around the Wakund is now sort of like army command for Freiburg as a whole.
Okay, cool.
And that is established, and they've started like there are things that he sees like set up like training dummies and stuff like that, and like militia that are practicing. These are like the cream of the crop militia, like the ones that were like the first recruits, nothing wrong with them that we were aware of, and it's still like, oh, you got a lot of work to do. So, and even more so once they go into those who they know are going to be veterans and wounded and traumatized and all of that. So, all right. So we cut to the theater. The arrival of food via Geralt is just sort of like it's a mishmash of things from different places. It's not just that he like stopped at like a couple different he cooked like all of it, but he has so many different influences that it's kind of impossible to like nail anything down. There's like a little bit from everywhere. He and it was like he's a good cook, but he wouldn't make it as a chef. He doesn't have the kind of like let's bring it to like a super polish or something like that. But he would absolutely rock as like a tavern owner or somebody who is just making massive amounts of comfort food for a lot of people.
He's like a one-man potluck.
Which he's doing right now.
That's my dad.
Yeah. and uh Ingvild as well. Hannelore is there. Anybody else? Jamae and Wilma are both arriving. Anjay is coming as well to sort of play catch up on everything that's happened in the last while.
Len is still hugging Rosa. Spinning out and around Rosa pretty much from the moment they came back together.
We'll say they met or they immediately went to the theater. They've been making out since the afternoon when people start to arrive.
Too many people arrive, Len reaches out, pulls a curtain. Before we get into the tonsil hockey, was Len like, did Gertrude have some rooms available for the overflow size to size?
Nowhere near enough. What it's kind of a combination of things. Waldo is letting basically the other tenants are sort of accepting a buyout of all of the rooms that or all of the townhouses that are near Honorines. And so like the size to size are sort of becoming Waldo tenants across the board.
And so I didn't discuss this directly with you already, so I just wanted to sort of run it by you because Honorine hasn't been like, she's been paying her rent and like stuff like that, but she hasn't gone shopping. She hasn't really made any like huge purchases. Like she's known for a while that her family was coming, and she's been kind of saving by for it. So like hopefully she also has some resources to like lay out to be like, this is the thing I was planning for, and like utilize those resources.
Yeah. There's so the entire family has been put on notice for some time by Jamae to liquidate the shit out of everything that they have. And to put it in like a travelable form. And because it's Porte, they can just stuff it all into one container and then drag it to wherever they need it to go. So they are coming with like artworks, with gilder, with like jewelry. The size to size that were in Charus itself were charged with get men to buy you pretty things. Like, and so like they are loaded down with jewelry and things like that, because the size to size are considered some of the most attractive women in like Montaigne Court. And they were like, so we just get to like flirt, and they're like, yes, absolutely, hoe it up. You know, so and it's like it's an opportunity that like they're always like be proper, you need to be married, you know what I'm saying? So like it was just like go be the raunchiest, you know, woman promising untold things to older men that you have no interest in following through on. It's going to work out. And they're like, you're sure it's going to work out? It's going to work out. So now they're like, we can contribute. And it's just like bags of jewelry and artworks. And Anjay has gotten enough rooms at the university for those who are like young enough that it'd be appropriate for them to stay there. Does that make sense? Because they need to be at the age that they'll probably be attending the university for it to not draw too many looks and stuff. And there are plenty of the size to size who very much would like to like take the time to be educated. The and so they, you know, they're going to be considering enrollment and stuff like that. And for their part, the university does not have a lot of female enrollees to males, so this might completely balance things out and change the dynamic for the school.
I dig it. They're
Yeah.
progressive. I'm sure like Jamae and Honorine were there like, you could be the most progressive academy in the country.
Yeah, Bruce, I don't have the time to like introduce him right now, but she actually did have a brief meeting with like the dean of the entire school, who's like a noble unto himself, who runs everything. He gave Honorine an offer to teach language at the school as a professor.
I was muted. I said amazing. That's amazing.
So, Runa, they had a question of how injured she was. She's at 4 out of 5, but she is a hero and she is not yet crippled which means she suffers no penalties until she's crippled. So like she hurts and she knows she needs to rest. And she's probably limping a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Her mother is probably much more familiar with skeleton magic and stuff like that. Bruna is sporting new brands as well, which are like the most visibly painful. So, and so like Ingvild has kind of probably taken some time to like do put balms to things, wrap some stuff up, make sure that she's as treated as she can be. And that treatment actually does remove one dramatic wound, but nobody's doing like surgery or anything like that. So, um, so there's a lot of people stuffed into one room.
Keeps going on like this, we're probably going to need to get a bigger meeting room.
We're
Well,
gonna
what kind
need a
of-
bigger boat.
We
did
have
get
a
a bigger
boat.
It barely fit.
Anyway,
That
We
is
did
what
get
he
a bigger
said.
boat.
That yeah, I was about to
Phrasing.
say.
Jermaine kind of, she says, I guess I should start. Says 2 weeks ago, Anjay appeared and began to help us prepare a plan to get out of Charus. She courted messages for us. She passed herself off amazingly as a Montaigne servant. And
Andrian's 100% holding hands with Anjay, like
Yeah.
sitting beside her, holding hands.
and Anjay, like in like Montaigne that has gotten good enough because of her closeness to honoring, it sounds like she's a native speaker, you know. And but she says in Montaigne, like, oh, it was nothing. And she says, and Anjay kind of intercuts, she says that there's so many servants in that palace, nobody knows anybody. She says, I was there for weeks and nobody realized that I wasn't assigned to anybody. And the Jimmy says, and then something magical happened. I don't know exactly what it was, but she kind of like gestures. She says, we all came out of there covered in blood because every mirror in the palace began to bleed. And I don't mean dripping blood. I mean like a sink turned over, like a bathtub emptied kind of blood. It was all over the floors. It was flowing out of everything. She says, I was a Porte sorcerer and I could tell something was happening and I have no idea what, and that it was extremely wrong. She says, we realized that the mirrors which constrained us ceased to do so when that happened, and that it was time to go. We didn't stay to find out what it was. She says, but the entire palace was up in arms. The peasants attacked Charus at the same time. It was absolute chaos. I think the attack preceded everything with the mirrors, because I know that there were some concerns that got into one of the outer quarters. So it was perhaps just somebody picking an opportune time to do something. She actually like holds her dress. She looks distressed. She says, one of the pay women that were there, she says she was 7 months along. She says she began to miscarry in the middle of the palace. I don't know how, she says, but I know that it was associated somehow. Anjay says, so we decided to get the hell out. We gathered everybody. I understood that the lightning guard was fighting all over the palace. Once we had word out, we went to the closest place that we had. We gathered beneath the sewers because that was the place that I'd mapped out and told everybody to get to. And then from there, Jemaine fills in, we portate to Size lands, where
Seeker was already there.
She nods with strange apparati. And Anjay says, not not that strange. She says, I know what those devices are. The Invisible College was working on them. Says Seeger must have some contact within them who got a hold of the plans.
And Anrian sort of starts to fill in Seeger, when he first approached the Black Forest that he should not have been able to cross unharmed, showed the forest that he could burn the entire thing down if he wanted to with those flame throwers of flame. And his
Just
army
says,
was able to
the
cross
invis-
through the Black Forest at night with them, which is unheard of. Sorry, go ahead,
Yes.
Fiosa.
There was an
Anjay says
entity.
the weapons, the Invisible College, the one who invented it, he called it the Inquisitor's Rebuke.
As in rebuking inquisitors, or
Yes.
good?
His family had been put to flame by Inquisitors, and he built something to return the favor.
I understand the sentiment. What were you going to say, Hans?
Where were these devices manufactured? Here in Iceland or no? If you even know.
Anjay says, I would assume in Seagerlands they have expert blacksmiths who would be used to making weapons.
Once everyone was safely ported away, once the lands had been signed back over to Koenig Seeger, I saw the flames go out. And I saw Seeger learn a non-lethal but dear lesson about the Black Forest and respecting it. But he still lives, and his army is still there. Half of it.
Jamae smiles. She says, I believe the statue was protecting the village. That's why I brought it with. She says, it was strange to bring through a porte gate. I've never felt the presence of the demons there so intensely as I did when I was bringing that through.
It has, I think it has magical properties.
I would say so. She says, but magical properties they did not like.
I think they're fey.
You think the thing is through the portal or Fae?
No, I think the magical properties are fey.
That
It's a statue of Queen Mob.
I don't know who that is.
Probably better.
She says, which brings us to here. We've arrived. I've turned over our lands to Seeger, and most certainly the Emperor is not intending to keep the Seiss family as a part of the royalty of Montana, or as part of the nobility of Montana any longer. She looks to Wilma and she says, you have extended us hospitality on the basis of our being noble. She says, but in truth, we are legally gentry at this moment. And Wilma says, and my offer of hospitality is still extended. It was not on the basis of your relationship to the Emperor.
Wilma's like, I didn't stutter, bitch.
Yeah, it is a sentiment shared through nearly everyone here. We're not one of the few places where your standing means far less. Which is good and has its perks, at least.
Wilma says, I should say that Rosa has been helping me for the last 2 weeks with the arrival of some 1,000 Usuran refugees that have crossed the borders from Usura into Eisen. Some have been taken captive by Posen. Others that found other routes have made their way to Freeburg, and we have provided them as much place to stay as we can.
Do they have any sort of leader, or at least someone who speaks for them?
She says they have town elders. Nothing.
Right.
She says some of them come from the cities, but mostly they seem to be rural folk who know that they would not be surviving the winter after their provisions were taken by the Gaius.
Of course he did.
Question, DM, has Wachamahuzi had time to get to Sharuz with his army?
Montague? No,
Yes.
he's still trapped like nearby. They haven't made the crossing yet because they haven't
Posen.
well, Posen's right there, and they haven't really like gotten the signal and like we're ready to go, and there might be a battle out of it with y'all gone. So
Yeah,
it's
like we're supposed to
definitely
be helping them.
yeah. Well, and, like the signal to like this is when we cross the water and stuff like that. With the knowledge that Posen has some kind of weapon that is incredibly dangerous above and beyond merely artillery, it makes the crossing even more dangerous.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that yet.
No.
Len's like, I'm sorry, love, but I need to make another trip here soon. I need to talk to the refugees first, though, from my home country. What we did learn, I don't know that we've covered it yet, is Fauner Posen is also in possession of a weapon more dangerous than any cannon, some sort of combination of science and sorcery that can blast through things not even, a overcharged cannon could damage.
We should send word to Montague also that Sharuz maybe has been attacked at least.
Yeah. Do you want to write something out for him?
She's gonna kind of glance at her aunt to see if her aunt wants to write, or
because I don't know if did you tell your aunt about what's going on with Montague?
I think she knows now.
I don't know if we've had time to catch up that much. Sure,
well,
maybe.
He's gonna look at Aunt Jemay and just be like, well, General Montague is currently kind of trapped between the edge of Ursura and Fauner Posen. Posen was offered, I think, 10 million gold for his head, so he couldn't make it back. And this is because the princess, or daughter of the Emperor, is pregnant with or has given birth to, I don't know where that stands at this point, his child.
Jamay's face kind of like goes white for a moment. She says, a week ago, the Emperor put his youngest daughter into the prison. I don't know what sparked it. And the rumors in the court were that she had been conspiring against the throne, and that he intended to imprison her until such time as she gave birth, and then see her executed.
Yeah, but all Montague wants to do is get home and get his wife, and hopefully force Lamper to abdicate. But from the sounds of things, Lamper may be bleeding out all of his orifices right now. We can only hope. No, we don't hope that.
I think my cousin thinks that we're not that lucky, or my niece thinks that we're not that lucky.
Well, no, I mean, if Lemperor is out of the picture, that means even more chaos, and that actually I think would be worse for the city at this point.
Fair enough.
And Wilma says, with what has already been described, I'm certain we'll be seeing more refugees coming across the Montaigne side as well.
Almost certainly.
We have to work something out to feed these people. We're already doing all that we can for those in the Foulberg, and it's not enough.
Has Honorine received any kind of reply from Fischler?
I think the message that she dashed off is a quick, like, Seeger's on his way to your borders. And she's been gone the 2 weeks since, so she hasn't received a reply yet.
Okay.
But actually, no, Waldo would have been like, you do have correspondence. The note was a basic, like, thank you, I'm taking to the field, but not providing any more details.
Okay.
So that.
Yeah, she sent it with
operational security.
She sent it with Torre and a kiss.
So yeah, So pretty much, I think everybody's as caught up on things as they need to be. There's chaos everywhere.
We can never catch a break.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that I did not find out all of this doom this time. This wasn't all on me. I don't know that it really matters, but it's a point of honor.
Well, how was it here? And she looks at Rosa. Was it relatively calm or?
So to fill there has been like managed chaos everywhere. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
There's enough nervousness about the armies that are moving, the possibility of a new War of the Cross and stuff like that, that there are some communities that are really kind of like, we're looking out for each other, we're tightening our bonds, you know what I'm saying? But like with the sense of that they might throw up fences around their neighborhood. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And others specifically like more in like the Philosopher's Stone that look as though they're trying to like cash out their chips and leave. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So
Yeah.
there's been like businesses for sale. There's been, especially people who have kind of extremely expensive businesses that in war will be completely devalued. Like I own the local art gallery and the local gambling salon. It's like, yeah, those aren't gonna be make.
Well, I don't know. The gambling soldiers are kind of famous for gambling.
Yeah, except it's like the super highbrow gambling salon
yeah,
that
no.
like
Yeah.
It's not what
soldiers
would go to.
Soldiers gamble with like hand carved dice in the trenches.
Yeah, they're
That's
not
their
going to a
gambling.
gambling salon. They're
No,
just
they're like
finding a
betting
corner.
their rations against each other. Yeah, exactly.
Well, fine.
Rosa kind of tells them all of that. So even though it has been busy for you all, it has also been busy for us.
One of the big shifts, probably from Rosa's perspective, is that I'm blanking on young Seeger's name.
Eric, Logan.
Logan, thank you. Logan has been taking a turn in the chair, listening to people's concerns. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing it in a like a I am the Iron Prince way. He's doing it in the same way that Rosa and Wilma do, of that if all parties agree to abide by my decision, then I'm happy to hear you out. But it's not with like the I'm passing new laws or my word carries particular authority. It's just there's a lot going on. There's three of us. Let's make use of the three of us.
Yeah.
And if people are unable to like come to a resolution that all find acceptable, they're just kind of like, okay, well, leave then. Like you came in here without a resolution, now you're leaving without one. But like there are other people that we can't help.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually the one that is at the city hall at the moment.
And honoring has everyone like said their kind of piece?
Ingvild hasn't spoken up yet, but she's still kind of staying quiet for now.
So honoring's going to sort of speak up after everyone's kind of said stuff and filled everyone in and kind of start sort of proposing like I propose that we she's going to gesture to the people that were on the ship and be like, we need a night of rest. We are all wounded. We have just come through an experience. But in the morning, Len should go speak with his countrymen. And she's going to start like making suggestions about like, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. And if anyone wants their like characters to do stuff, like I'm happy to have Honorine suggest it as like a proposal forward.
Gav has an idea that's kind of, he sort of speaks up. With all of these people needing places to stay, Gav is known to have Gav knows that there are houses all over Freiburg that are not being used. Houses being under the ownership of a certain ceramics producer.
What has happened to Charlotte? How has my cousin been?
Yeah, that
Um,
bitch.
Wilma smiles and she says, uh, knowing that there were members of your crew that could be in danger if she took action or didn't take action, we've let her be for the time being. We could bring her in, but with your absence, we wouldn't have a group to go after Chris and the others.
And she looks to Runa.
Shimei says, if there's something that I can do to help, I would be happy to.
You could bend her over your knee and spank her.
Let me at her throat, perhaps.
She
Having
says-
somebody with Porte would be valuable.
It would be
'cause
helpful.
She has Porte.
She says, and she kind of like explained the situation to me. And I'm going to just sort of, for the sake of time, like
Yeah.
we'll
Mhm.
kind of assume that she's getting caught up. She
There's
says,
too much. Let me sum up.
She says, so what we need is someone to be taken and sold as a slave by her and carry one of my marks so that I can travel to them. Then we're not dependent upon Charlotte, and we have somebody there in the Crescent Lands.
I'm willing.
Send me.
Although Charlotte may recognize me, so it
I was
makes
gonna-
sense if I do.
Charlotte-
Yeah,
Something about pregnant
She-
chicks and Porte.
Charlotte deals in bulk and in disposable people.
Shush.
And she
Both
would
of-
recognize
yeah.
me. I am.
Shimei
not
says,
a
and you are
Precisely.
marked as a scaregem. You would not be amongst those bartered and massed for labor.
Yeah, that as well. You if people with specific abilities are typically
Is Gris not marked?
No, Gris is, but Gris was or no, Gris is, and she was sold at the time. So that might just be Jimei's assumption that she wouldn't do it.
The member of my crew that they have is marked. That wouldn't matter. What
So she-
matters is she knows my face.
yeah.
What about another member of your crew? Rosa's obviously not a choice.
No.
Mid-draw questions, but
How well am I known in this city?
I mean,
I'm-
you
What's your
come
reputation?
sort of-
Oh wait.
Not a lot.
How much
I
danger
think
would
it's
they
well.
be in?
Yeah, that's well known. in the
15
city.
reputation.
God damn it.
I have a really low reputation.
But my cat form has no reputation.
She's- but Jimei says no one brings an animal through a porte gate.
Oh.
She says that's how you get blood wolves. Nobody wants blood wolves.
That does sound kind of awesome, actually.
Judging from the name,
She
I
shakes her
would-
head.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
if only there was a way I could be disguised. I just want to make sure she's okay.
She says we just need someone to get there bearing. Actually, she kind of looks to Len. She says, could you get something into her clothes? Because then it wouldn't require anybody being put into slavery at all.
I can. I was trained to do a lot of things that I try not to talk about, but I can definitely do that. And I can, pee on some of her other clothes just to really dig the knife in, distract her.
She says, just get something into the heel of a shoe. She says, I'll go bind myself to a shoe nail.
Yeah, easily done.
And she just kind of like pulls up the heel of her own shoe and like tugs one free. And Jimmy just like into her hand and like hands it over.
Len takes it, carefully wraps it. He's like, this is gonna be busy. Tonight is for me and Rosa.
Tonight is
Uh,
for rest.
There will be some of that too. And then I need to talk to my countrymen, plant the nail, and then I gotta go talk to Montague. And so,
Honorine has a bunch of people, like relatives, to check on, and possibly also Ettore to see if he's okay. Ask him how the trip was.
he's gonna kind of glance around and lean in towards Honorine and just whisper, "Does anybody, any of your family know about Rosa? And how she's your sister? Are you going to
She points at Jimmy.
Oh, okay, good. All right, then.
There's somewhat of a resemblance.
Yeah.
Smiles.
Yeah, and she's not wearing the mask anymore, which is good, because that is a beautiful face, and it shouldn't be behind masks.
Observant as always.
Hans
Jemay
will
leans
pipe
to
up.
loop an arm around Rosa and gives her a squeeze. And
Look, Jemay has been here. I'm sorry, Aunt Jemay, but you've been here like an hour or two over the course of many weeks and months. I didn't know if you had been looped in or not. They were keeping it a secret for a while.
she nods. She says, "I did her makeup." She says, "I welcomed
there
her
was
as a
a whole
member of the
reveal.
family."
See,
Look, I wasn't there for that. Apparently, I just gave.
Oh, your
You're
reaction
awesome.
to her makeup was quite memorable. I do
Yeah.
remember it. She
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of smiles and looks over to Hans.
So struck
that was
was
a-
he completely forgot.
No, that was also when she pointed out the drawings of Len's ass on the
Oh,
wall. I was like,
that-
oh.
shit, yeah.
She's like, oh, very,
She was
very
in your
interesting
house,
artwork.
dog.
and greeted me with his very large spear.
Yeah. I remember. That was a very, very funny episode.
Player totally forgot because Player has a bit of a brain hole at times.
It's fun.
That's fair.
We're on episode 49. It's totally allowed.
This
Oh, yeah.
is amazing. I could not be happier.
It's like, oh yeah, that was during one of the many times that we were trying to save the world.
That was
Uh,
fun.
still,
But-
Did you still have the drawings, or did those have to be sacrificed? Because I can get you more.
She says they found their way into the hands of other artists. I don't know their fate.
That's fair.
She looks to Hans. She says, "You were about to say something though when we got sidetracked."
Yeah. So a request of you and of Andre as well. I with two new threats on the horizon. I need to know about, as much about Porte and countering it specifically in combat, if you have any of that knowledge. But even just
I
anything
do.
about Porte in general. So I mean, that and like turn to Anje.
I wasn't muted. Shit.
I was trying to blinder myself, but that was too good. That was too funny. Oh god. Oh, there we go.
Shut up, you're bald.
If you have time in the coming days to meet with me and some of the engineers, we need to figure out a countermeasure to these fire spewing devices.
She nods.
Because
Anjay kind of, I can see if I can find the original. I'm not a member of the Invisible College, but I might be able to find somebody who can get a hold of a schematic.
if you can, it would be amazing. But I mean, honestly, even just get some of your input on the design, and if there's a way to make some kind of water-based defense mechanism, even to just soak the soldiers using the devices to hopefully put them out of commission or something. We can get about one wall done soon, and I think we need to put it between us and Posen. So even if whatever super weapon
I'm
can
so sorry.
easily bring it down,
Fine.
anything helps.
Jemay says, as far as Porte goes and countering it, there are 3 things that you need to know. A mirror ghost cancels the ability for anybody to use Porte from its destination, but not where it's going to. So if somebody were to erect a mirror ghost at my destination, I would be unable to use it upon arrival, but not departure. She says the second thing that you should know is that any animal going through a porte gate comes out twisted and changed and extremely dangerous. The blood wolves that I mentioned are absolutely feral, killing machines that can teleport at will.
Hmm. Wow.
But they are as likely to kill the members of your own army as your enemy.
Yeah, yeah. What of storage capacity? I yeah,
Oh.
a long time ago now. I witnessed a man draw many pistols from a small porte pocket. in
She
like, his
says,
Kriegsstuhl.
as a master, I can store roughly 25 fully loaded rifles in my
Oh, okay.
porte pocket.
Useful.
Yeah.
She says, I also can use it to catch bullets coming at me.
That is the more concerning use case.
She says, I suppose that would actually make it easier to capture artillery pieces coming at me, though I would not want to miss.
Yeah.
That might be a useful way to counter Posen's new weapon. We just got a whole influx of Porte sorcerers into Freiburg.
Yeah. How many of them would be willing to undergo combat training, you think? That may be something we have to think about in the near future.
Most of them are not trained to be on the front lines, but they are trained to run messages and move behind the lines.
I mean, if we can teach people how to move things and the like.
There are 5 members of my family whose abilities match my own, who are capable of moving others through Porte. The others, apprentices will be able to hold objects and draw objects to them. The adepts are capable of transporting themselves, but not anyone else.
Okay. Oh, well.
She says, and there are some 25 of those. She says another 15 apprentices.
I suppose. I suppose we have to rely on the benefits of Iceland being seen as more of a small conglomerate of nations with no imperator. Eric's actions worry me for the future of our borders.
Um,
Oh shit, that's a good point.
I mean, yeah, if
I don't
mean,
think
it's-
Honorine actually swore, but I think she's like, oh, yeah, I suppose the Imperator might consider it a declaration of war from Eisen in general. Possibly.
Yeah, the hope is that, you know,
Lemperor, not Imperator.
the hope is that the Emperor has the, you know, knowledge that Eric is kind of acting on his own. Hopefully that keeps the focus of whatever wrath he brings down on Sika and not on us.
He may not care, but he may not.
She says, one of the things that I can do, since we now have enough Porte magicians, we can make sure that there is a item from one of the masters of the family in every Iron Prince's main city, so that we can make conversation quickly. We can also have one left with Montague's camp if he's willing to do so, but I understand if he might have reservations.
Yeah, at the very least to the other conics, that would be most useful actually. Don't have to spend weeks sending someone to Fischler or Vish or Heinzel.
I'll take an item with me when I go visit him and bring it back if he refuses.
I can easily move about a dozen people at a time. I say easily, but it's actually a strain. Doing it all day would be quite an effort, and if any of them open their eyes, they would be dead. So there's a risk to whenever you enter a porte gate. And it's generally considered a bad idea to keep going from the same place to the same other place.
Does it get accustomed to your travel? Does it make it more dangerous?
It's more like the demons that are on the other side of the gate who know that it's a tasty avenue.
Like game trails when you're a hunter. You know that prey is going to be along them.
She says it's a good analogy, yes. She says, so I'll give Len something to hand over. Of course, if he's not interested in having it, please don't do so. Um, um, Ingvild looks over to Runa. She says, is there any way that I can help in all of this? I'm aware that of everybody here, I'm probably the greatest liability.
I'm unsure.
Gav pipes up. We are short capable combat leaders. You are experienced in many forms of war.
We did just
See.
lose a good leader,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
She's
You can keep people in line. That is, if you can keep people in line without them, getting too upset at you and abandoning you, that it is most valuable. Yeah.
she knows how to keep a team.
See.
She says, and I'll teach you everything that I can about your lairds. She says, I don't have access to them anymore. I'm not the Scareton I once was, but I'm something else.
It's gonna be strange seeing you without them. I need to get used to that.
She says, I've been able to see other things from time to time now, too. And she looks like straight at Rosa after she says that. She says, I think you and I should have a conversation.
All right.
She says, but for everyone else who is unaware, I am Ingvild Olaf's daughter. I was believed dead, but I am still a recognizable face to the Vendel in the town, as is the Revenge, the ship that we crashed in here on. Kirk would not hesitate to send assassins here to take my life.
Well, you don't have your marks anymore, and everybody probably still thinks you're dead, so I'm pretty sure we can make up a new you. Throw an eye patch on, maybe, style your hair different, wander around obviously without the marks, little makeup.
She just kind of like pulls her hair back and like reveals the eye, and she says, I am also the High King of the Veston.
I can't do anything for you there. That's
She says,
makeup
and
is the best I got.
she says, while I appreciate, she says, the effort at disguise. She kind of, she like leans forward a little bit and like she pulls her hair enough just so that those who are close can see that like there's already like an inch of white going through the blonde, like starting at like the roots. It's already starting to like turn colors. I hope I don't grow the beard.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Um,
I don't think a beard would suit you.
she says, and maybe it's time that the Odin be a high queen.
I like the sound of that.
She says, there's an entire conflict between our people that this isn't the place to hash out. I am not interested in a civil war between the Vendel and the Veston any longer. Even though that was what motivated me for most of the last few decades.
The man who saved me, you spared him, a Vendel man. I like that change.
She says, I did that more often when I was getting started. She says, as my revenge ground on, it became less so, but I don't think blood is going to solve that problem. but that doesn't mean there won't be plenty of people calling for mine. Either because I am Ingvild Olaf's daughter, or because I am the Odin. She says, I wanted to be upfront that I am a problem sitting in your midst.
One of many. And you were welcome. We did just go through like several worlds to bring you back because you're important to Runa.
You're gonna learn. Problems find us.
Or we are the problems.
A bit of both.
It's one big problem.
All right. She says, well, turn me at your soldiers and I'll do what I can.
And if you have an obligation to return to your people, we would all be grateful for anything you can provide us while you are here.
She says, I can send a word to every Vestin ship that still sails the sea. She says, I don't know how many days it'll take them to reach here, but I can do it. She says, there will be a cost in doing so. Vestin do not tend to calm problems down.
The way we're headed,
But they're great fighters.
yeah, I don't think any of us see calm in our near future. If we can bolster our forces at virtually any cost, I would.
A
I would
fleet
say
of
so.
angry Vestin from the rear will not is probably not something on Posen's expectations.
And perhaps we train, or I don't know how much help I'd be in training, but perhaps Freeburg soldiers should know how to fight in heavy storms. A disadvantage for the others. And I could help with that.
I can train scouts.
Yeah.
We should have some sort of ranger outfit keeping a watch in the woods and areas around Freeburg constantly.
Ingvild looks thoughtful. She says, I could also send word to make sure that every Vestin ship plying the coasts north of Posen lands knows to make a nuisance of themselves to the Posen and leave the rest of Isen alone. It might split some of Posen's forces.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sì, grazie.
And it will certainly cut off any supplies that she's expecting from other countries.
Oh, it's entirely possible.
Wilma says it will also certainly be considered an act of war. It can be traced back to us.
There's also that.
And Ingvild kind of smiles at that. She says, the thing that I can promise that Vestin raiders who are captured will not do is point to Freeburg as being the one giving them orders. They'll say that their orders came from Odin, and Posen can chew on that.
Great, I'm fighting a legend, myth.
Right. Well,
Gav's like, before we finish for the evening, Gav has question. I believe I can make Charlotte's life inconveniencing because of the number of properties they have in Finerhard. As the representative of the district, I can lean on her husband to make sure that those houses are filled. And if they are filled, they cannot be used for whatever his wife has in store. It would make things a little bit more annoying for her. It is not. He's like, it is not Gav's preferred course of action. But if we are in the business of annoying our enemies as much as we are fighting them, this would be a good way, da?
Sì.
Bureaucracy and red tape can be a powerful tool.
She says, I believe that her husband has been declared the representative for the assembly from the Philosopher's Stone. So perhaps as a member of the assembly, you can approach and ask kindly before you put further pressure on him.
I have not met this man. I do not know how much he knows. But if we can do this, if I can smile out of both sides of my face, then I shall do so.
Honorin has met him.
I haven't met him for very long. He seems I don't know how straightforward he is, but he seems like he might be amenable. He's not a difficult man.
A softer touch, then.
Could try it first.
Wait until he like really causes a problem before you power bomb him.
Yeah. I think Gab, being like a native to Freiburg, knows that the Kirsch family has been in Freiburg business like for as long as he has, but like they've never stood out in any way. Does that make sense? It's more like they just have a couple investments. Those businesses have performed regularly. The ceramics factory is like, for one thing, it broke away from the traditional mold of Kirsch businesses because like it wasn't branded in any way as a Kirsch business. The other ones that have been like smaller businesses, largely over in the playground area. They've just kind of like done the same thing for like 20 years. You know what I mean? Like they're making money, but they're not making fistfuls of money. And they're making enough that like, over a long time and with careful investment, it would add up to a lot, but it's certainly not Philosopher's Stone buying out Duke Redmond's place kind of money. So that's probably the foundation upon which Charlotte springboarded into her investments. So but like over in the playground, like the Kirsch name is pretty well respected.
And he's the representative for the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, he's the assemblyman for it.
Okay.
The assemblyman for the playground is the headmaster of the school, because like nothing happens in that district without him having some approval of it anyway.
So yeah, he's gonna start looking into that. But tomorrow.
I think the meeting is breaking up at this point. Everybody's kind of going home to. Oh yeah,
The
sure.
only thing that Rosa would say to this, if they have any problems, bring them to me. I can make a decision.
And then it's like, just before everybody goes, I'd like to raise a cup to a man I didn't know long, but a man who was very important to the mission and a man who sacrificed himself to make sure that it was successful. I know we have the Odin before us, but the Odin I sat and talked and drank with was a complicated guy. But in his own way, I feel like however many lives he had, every one of them was some sort of hero. So I'd like to raise a toast to the Odins that were.
Yeah, Ingvild drinks to it as well.
And that's all the sentimentality I have.
And the meeting breaks up with people going their separate ways.
Aunt Jemay, I have so much to catch you up on.
Jemay kind of smiles at that and she says, I'm delighted to hear about all of it. Ingvild is not going to speak to Rosa tonight. It's not that pressing, but all right.
So we've got other pressing to do.
Jiris.
Heyo.
Ruben wants to introduce her to Jiris before they go back home.
And Ingvild is like, she's not like dad at the door with a shotgun. Do you know what I mean? Like, you better take care of my daughter. Do you know what I'm saying? But there is like a certain she's aware of the figure that she cuts, and she just sort of like lets the quiet importance that she holds, both as a captain and as like the famed person that she is, and now as like the High Queen. Um, she's polite, and there's also she's clearly sort of searching for like I appreciate that like my daughter likes you, but like what makes you worthy of her?
Why
Does
does
that
she
make
like you?
sense? It's not like she doesn't object that like he's kind and that's like like what Runa wants right now. But there is an awareness that her daughter is going to be like in the shit a lot. She's gonna need somebody who can like back her up. Does that make sense? Um, and they although she does like after Jairus cooks dinner, she is kind of like, well, I see one thing about him that I really understand. It's the way like, oh, I get how Geralt seduced me now.
You know
Shit, it
what?
runs in the family.
You know what? I get it. With like no context to Jairus at all. She just kind of like leans in and she's like, yeah.
Yeah, and Ingvild takes like a bite of salmon and just sort of like nods in understanding and agreement. And
They're so cute.
um,
Is that a cat back there?
um, and she kind of like I would go snuggle my. Is Brandy her grandniece?
Yeah.
Is that yeah?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. She says I want to go snuggle
Ingvild
my
would be her
grandniece.
great aunt. So
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
grandniece is appropriate. Um,
she's been throwing around lightning, Mom.
at that age,
Yes.
she says
The family blood's strong.
she says yes. She says, and also the willingness to use it. She says in a closed, flammable room.
She tried to cook corned beef hash with lightning.
At least she's not summoning storms.
Yet. Yet.
Scary child.
But I am hesitant to teach her that until she's older.
She kind of what is her highest rune? What is Runa's highest rune?
Gateway.
Yeah.
At 4.
She says, I didn't teach you Gateway.
That's true. And I became good at it quick.
She says, because you were insatiably curious about everything going on in the ship behind closed doors. She says, when doors were closed for a reason.
So you did know?
She says, I could feel when you were spying, yes.
And you know who didn't teach me that when I was a kid?
It probably spared you having a sister, so.
What the fuck?
I am not going to do that while you're watching.
No, I mean, I don't want that. So thank you. I'm trying to figure out if having a sister would be cool.
She says,
I have Sora.
You have a cousin. She says, it looks just like you. She says, it might as well be. She says, and I loved having a sister, but
I
wasn't
mean, we
about to make
basically
one
are
while you were watching.
sisters. I thank you. Thank you.
And when she gets into the house, she does scoop up Brandy and just kind of tilt her forehead against her. Brandy's like, we know everything's to show you. And she's like, yeah, but we're snuggling now.
Oh.
She's like, I taught Red a new trick. And she's like, the joke about old dogs learning them, and just clearly flashes across her mind, but she realizes that like Brandy wouldn't
puppy.
get it, and it's a puppy, and she never met Red, so she has no context. So.
Mhm.
Um,
Runa knows what she did.
um,
Oh yeah. Well, we've all got a little puppy. I forgot about that.
Yours is named
Uh,
Whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah, she kept trying to sniff everyone's drinks.
yours is the only full-blown alcoholic. All right. So we are at about 5 minutes out. So I think it'd be a good time to close this out. And we're at a good resting spot where we're not closing on a cliffhanger. So I would like some nominations for tonight.
Honorine, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Honoring.
Yeah. I really liked stop talking.
Nope,
Stop.
Shut up.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I think Rosa. I think Rosa had a lot to catch people up on and do. Those are my two.
The sisters for the big reunion episode.
Yeah.
And of course the whole swerve from so we're starting on Rosa, but
Yes.
Yeah, I had already communicated to Honorine that she was going to be the cold open, so she do it, and then she was like gloating about, haha, no cold open, and I was like, I'm not done yet.
Not finished.
So we'll do 3 XP for tonight. We'll do drama dice and bonus XP for Honorine and Rosa.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
I also want to thank Nate in the chat for his bit donation to the channel. That was incredibly generous of you. Thank you very much.
In a
Still in
world.
And I will close us out.
Last session of the year.
Yeah, last session
wow.
of 2025.
Because I don't think we have a game tomorrow on this channel. Or in
Nope.
Well, do we have one on
Not yet.
Tuesday?
We are waiting for the new year because Shadow's having internet issues.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So
we're gonna wait.
I think we're the last show on Dirty 20 for 2025.
I think
Wow.
so.
See you next year, everybody.
It's gonna be next year. It's gonna be forever. Okay. I'm over it. But yeah, so thank you everyone for watching on YouTube and live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, make a comment at the down below. I've been reading this comment about the motto of Dirty 20 for a while, and instead of reading it, because I feel like it comes up a little for me, like I just want to talk about here at Dirty 20, the saying that we have is be kind. And if you don't have the spoons, be nice. And I think in the world that we live in which there is more and more uncertainty, and there's more and more people struggling with the basics of do I have a safe place to live? Do I have my next meal coming to me? There's so much of that can become anger that's directed at other people. And I think the only counter to that, and the only way to something like security, is to remind people that the only thing that has ever protected them is community. And Dirty 20 I'm lucky to have found this community. I think it's given me a lot of purpose that I really didn't have before. I've been welcomed amongst all of the strangers and weirdos, and walk amongst them proudly. Be nice, because being nice is a way to give people access to something that right now they might desperately need. You don't have to go out of your way to give your shirt to everyone you meet, but if you can show them that there is something that they're missing, they might seek it out on their own. So a little bit of niceness can go a long way. And so let's bring that forward into 2026. Let's shelter behind it, and let's get weird together. So
Love you
We'll
guys.
see you in the new year. Thank you for coming with us.
Good night.
Nice, y'all. Happy New Year.
Bye. Happy
Yeah,
New
Happy New
Year.
Year. Woohoo.
Happy New Year.
Woo, Happy New Year.